Well, it sounds like your choice of poison this week was kind of similar to mine
Yeah.
because I went out to a theater and I watched The Beekeeper.
And Go ahead and get started with that because I have to go too.
Okay, so in this movie, it is a Jason Statham action thriller that gets very silly at the end. Uh, and it's got a ludicrous presence or premise. It's got a ludicrous premise. I cannot speak today. It's got a ludicrous premise, clearly a throwback to 90s and 2000s action movies. But it's also got a very timely hook to it. So the movie starts off with Jason renting a room from a kindly old black lady who lives out in her house in the countryside in Virginia. And, she, and the way he puts it is, thank you. No one's ever taken care of me before. Which he's just very nice. Jason is really likable in this movie, which is very important for this type of plot, is to have a likable protagonist because he's going to do some awful things to people. So you better be on his side to start with. But the kindly old lady, he comes over and he helps her deal with some hornets that had set up shop in her barn,
Mm,
and he and she says, "Oh, come over later. I'll make you dinner." And he's very appreciative. And then between when he leaves and when he comes back,
mm.
she gets hacked by these absolutely awful people. It's like the old tech support scam,
Oh, yeah.
where it's like, "Oh, your computer has a virus. You better you want to make sure." Oh yeah, the don't worry, we're the spyware software that was installed with your computer. Oh, but you're a little bit short
Mhm.
on your subscription. We'll just need access to your account so we can get $200. And they proceed to clean her out completely, including 2 million from a children's a children's charity that she ran
Oh, jeez.
because she was a retired teacher.
Mm.
And so Jason shows up and she has killed herself because she could not deal with losing everything like that.
Oh, oh boy.
Uh, and then her daughter shows up, who I forget why the FBI showed up as. No, that's right. The daughter showed up, who's an FBI agent, and she sees Jason standing there with a kitchen knife that he had grabbed for security when he noticed that the old woman's pots were still boiling
Uh,
because she had left them behind at some point.
mm.
And yeah, she's none too pleased about this.
Yeah.
And so Jason figures out where they're at. You find out that this guy who just is he says he's retired. He's just keeps bees out in the country. Nothing suspicious about him.
Yeah, yeah.
He calls up some shady looking agency using 80s technology, which is kind of an interesting aesthetic choice. And he proceeds to go on a crusade of vengeance for this old woman.
Wow.
Like he literally just shows up at the call center for this scam, and he burns the building to the ground.
Oh, wow.
And so it's just like the rest of the movie is this constantly escalating, attack and counterattack. He went there and burned down their building, so they send some people to rough him up. Uh, he proceeds to kill these hired goons who are after him, including cutting off the fingers of the guy who had been running the call center with a skill saw.
Ooh.
Yeah. So in terms of brutality, this is less brutal than Equalizer 3, but
It's still pretty brutal. Yeah.
still pretty brutal. Holy Ninja asks the question: is this a comedy? Um, Here's the thing: there are funny elements to it. Like it's very much it is a silly, silly movie.
Uh,
Um, and so I'm going to just go. It mostly manages to keep a straight face the whole time because it wants you to take its premise seriously. And that premise is that Jason Statham is part of a secret government program called the Beekeepers, who work outside of all levels of intel. eh, And their job is just to do whatever they feel is necessary to keep the hive safe.
ah,
The hive being American society.
okay. Hmm.
And so he sees these people who are scamming all these old defenseless people who don't know better out of their money. And
Mhm.
so he's going to burn it to the ground. One note at a time.
Yeah.
I should mention this is a David Ayer movie. The only other Ayer movie I had seen was Suicide Squad. Uh,
Mm,
he was a great choice for a movie of this genre because his kind of bombastic, over the top style added a lot to a lot of scenes.
uh,
And the fact that Jason more or less just kept a straight face the entire time, like he wasn't throwing out pithy bon mots or anything like that.
yeah. Oh my, it's the CIA.
It's even funnier is that uh, okay, so I'm going to end my non-spoiler reviews, then get into spoilers because it's kind of
Yeah.
funny. So non-spoiler review, I would say that this movie has a good first two acts by the silly standards of a action revenge story. The
Yeah.
last act, it kind of gets silly with just how of a much of a one-man army Jason is.
Yeah.
Because in the first two acts, he was basically using stealth, traps, light conditions, and everything to go in and wreck house. Like
Yeah.
the terrain, like he was basically having to fight smart. In the last one, he's basically just advancing out in the open, and he's very fortunate that the bad guys are, they have guns, but they draw knives and go in close. They attack one at a time. All the classic action movie things.
Yeah.
So, do I recommend it? I would give it like a soft recommend because the ending was silly enough that it was starting to take me out of it a little bit. But
Mm,
upon further reflection, I said, I was still enjoying myself. I just was engaging too much of my critical faculties there. And
yeah.
like I don't like to encourage turning off your brain too often just because it encourages people to make dumb movies. But this is not a movie about the plot. This is a movie about spectacle and action scenes, and it more or less keeps it. There's like
Mm,
one scene where he was interrogating a guy where it looked a little bit fake, where he was like batting him in the eyes, hand and face with this bat, and didn't look like he was hitting him all that hard.
yeah.
It's like, okay, is that really enough to actually hurt him and make him, go along with it? But besides that, the action scenes were really convincing and well done.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right. So here's the spoiler. The funny thing about this movie to me is that you don't expect the political angle that it goes into. Um, and the weird thing about the political angle it goes into is that like there's a hint of it early on because okay, so you meet the CEO of this scummy corporation, and you find out that his mother had left him the company or had put him in charge of the company. You don't know why she's not in charge of the company anymore. I thought she was actually dead
Mm.
because you have oh, who was it who played Alfred in the Batman? Jeremy Irons.
Yeah, Jeremy. Well, he was in the DCEU. Yeah.
Oh, that's right. That's right.
Yeah.
I forget who was Alfred in that one. But
Uh,
that's the
it
point.
was Andy Serkis was
Ah,
Alfred in the
that's
Batman.
right. That's right. All right. So Jeremy Irons is like the head of security for this company that's again just has like a huge operation that's scamming people.
Oh yeah.
And what's weird is that he knows what a beekeeper is. Like he's able to tell him what a beekeeper is. Like how does this guy who's the head of security know? And
Yeah.
you find out that he's the head, like a former head of the CIA, and it's like the hell kind of scammy tech company is going to have the former head of the CIA
Yeah.
as an employee,
Uh,
favor to his mother or no.
yeah.
And what you find out is that uh, he is the son of the current president of the United States,
Oh jeez.
who is a woman. And I think the reason that she is a woman is that at one point the FBI agents talk about how like they have this book of B facts that one of them is reading through
Yeah.
that they find in Jason's effects, I believe.
Mm.
So I think they were trying to read it for clues. It's like, oh,
Ah.
that's interesting. There are sometimes a bee will decide if a queen isn't producing the right type of eggs, then a uh, a bee will go in and kill it. And like that's what Jason basically is. That's the foreshadowing that Jason is out to kill the president because what you find out is that her campaign was funded in large degrees by her scummy millennial tech bro douchebag son who's always high on something cocaine, DMT, alcohol,
Oh,
just
God.
always in a haze.
Yeah.
He just has all of these codes. You're supposed to hate him, and you do. You find out
Yeah.
that he partially funded her campaign with this operation because they'd gotten some contract to get this CIA spyware.
Ah.
So they were able to identify people with a lot of money that wouldn't be able to really fight back.
Uh, he's-
And
yeah, in ninjas. So this is a
it's like this president is like a fusion of Clinton and Trump insofar as like I had to go to the bathroom partway through the movie, so I don't think it was a third party attempt. They don't say what party she was with either, but like it
uh,
was like she was a CEO who's partially self funded.
mm,
So, of course, the where it doesn't quite work is that when she finds out, she's actually willing to accept the consequences. So it's because she
yeah.
had no idea what her son was up to.
Yeah.
But still, so like I was not expecting that. It's very much an anti-establishment movie, like, and it's like it wasn't political insofar as, and that's why you need to vote for Joe Biden in 2024, or anything like that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like it's just very much like, man, there are people in charge and things are effed.
Yeah. Yeah.
They're all people in charge. As far as the other actors, I watched the film threat review of this after I watched it, and I held off on it because I was actually considering seeing it.
Mm, mm,
And they pointed out that all the actors are basically like the, the actors and characters are written in such a way that you very quickly know who they are, what their deal is. Which Alan said after trying to watch Echo made him like the movie more than he probably should have, just because it's like, oh, somebody who knows how to write a character and
yeah.
have it actually work.
Yeah.
Which I kind of feel uh, like seeing this after watching Gran Turismo had a similar effect
Oh. Yeah.
be- because like I was actually entertained in this or entertained by this. Um, I you know the what's slightly strange is that you have this. Yeah, you know what? I won't even get into that. Let's just
All
say,
right.
like, is it woke? There are things you could interpret as woke, but it's also a crazy time. You meet the person who took his place in the Beekeepers, and she's
Yeah.
out to kill him, and she is basically a cyberpunk 2077 character who drives up on him in a gas station and is using like a truck mounted machine gun to try to kill him. It's like this movie, like again, like in the last act, it kind of went too silly for me,
Yeah.
but I had a good time more than I didn't. Uh,
Yeah.
what was interesting is that the theater I was in, there weren't a lot of people in there. It was Sunday at noon, so make of
Yeah.
that what you will. The three people in front of me were just laughing the whole time, which I think is the exact reaction that the director and actors and everyone else was going for.
Yeah.
Like everything was just so silly.
Yeah.
There was a husband and wife to the front and left who ended up leaving at with about 15 minutes left in the movie to go. So I don't know if they got called away or if they were just sick of the movie or what, but
Yeah. Hmm.
I can't think of a lot of times when I've seen people actually walk out of the theater before it was done.
Uh, I've only happened to me a couple of times. One of them was it was actually the whatever the God, what was it called, that Eddie Murphy Robert De Niro movie, when there's a scene where Eddie Murphy says to Robert De Niro, "Oh, come on, you making us stand out? Don't make us stand out here waiting like Jehovah's Witnesses."
Oh, so you wonder who, if they
Y-
were Jehovah's Witnesses.
Yeah, we saw a couple leave the theater after that, so they might have been Jehovah's Witnesses.
Yeah.
And the only other time would have been probably like Lord of the Rings: The Return of the King. Like I remember seeing that movie, a guy got up and walked out when when Frodo and Sam were being carried away by the eagles. Which I think a lot of people probably did that.
I
But
mean, that movie feels like it ends 6 times the first time you watch it.
yeah, there are way too many fade to blacks in that near the end of
Yeah.
that movie.
Like, it wasn't bad the second time I saw it, but still, it was kind of a bit much.
Yeah,
But anyways, as far as the Beekeeper goes, I think that's emblematic of the reaction that different audiences would have to it. That
yeah,
there would be people out there who this would be way too much for,
hmm,
and there'd be people who are just laughing and enjoying themselves the whole way through. So just
yeah,
decide which one you are.
yes,
It's like the Equalizer 3, but without all the depth and slow parts.
yeah.